Bathed by the warm waters of the Indian Ocean, on South Africa's east coast lies the city of Port Elizabeth. Western civilization first entrenched itself here with the British settlers of 1820. Today, with a population of over 1.2 million, Port Elizabeth is South Africa's fifth largest city and one of the major harbours on its east coast. But for almost a century, Port Elizabeth has been more than just a harbour. It's also the terminus of an intriguing narrow-gauge railway and home to a long-lived tradition of steam. Humewood Road is home depot to a delightful narrow-gauge train, the Apple Express. The station is the terminus of the historic narrow-gauge line to Avontuur and is also the headquarters of the Apple Express Society, a volunteer group dedicated to the tradition of narrow-gauge passenger travel behind steam. Today, our 106-kilometre round trip from Port Elizabeth to Thornhill and back will be behind one of the world's most powerful 2-foot gauge garrets, class NGG 16, number 131. With the shops, hotels and assorted seaside attractions of Humewood behind us, we turn inland and climb towards the lush coastal plain. Passenger travel on this line dates back nearly a century. The very first passenger coaches rattled out of Humewood Road in April 1903. Much later, the Apple Express herself was born. She dates from 1965, when she was first named as a passenger excursion train by the Port Elizabeth Historical Society and was operated by the then South African Railways and Harbours. She took her name from the apple farms in the Longkloof Valley, which was served by the railway. After many ups and downs, the Apple Express Society was formed in 1995 in a bid to keep this much-loved train alive. The urban periphery of Port Elizabeth is a kaleidoscope of social environments. Facing each other across the tracks are the dwellings of the poor and the not-so-poor. The railway line, it seems, is a metaphor for the divisions within South African society. The Apple Express Society is the custodian of 8 locomotives, with this garret one of the most modern, built in 1950. The 20 passenger coaches in their care date from 1902 through to 1931. This is leisurely travel in the old style. The Apple Express herself has been running now for over 35 years, but nearly a century ago, fare-paying passengers made everyday journeys in these very same coaches. The station names along this stretch, names like Chelsea, Greenbushes and St Albans, reflect the British influence in what was very much a settler hinterland. This is chiefly a dairy farming region, lying in the shelter of the Van Stadens Mountains, with productive pasture land supporting large herds of healthy cattle. Abruptly, the pasture ends at a great gash in the earth. On its way to the sea, the Van Stadens River has carved itself a gorge, which in places is well over 100 meters deep, and the railway bridge that spans it is the highest 2-foot narrow-gauge bridge in the world. It is, and always has been, the Avontuur line's definitive point of interest. Not far beyond Van Stadens Bridge is our destination, Thornhill. This station at kilometre 53 has traditionally been a refreshment stop, and before the coming of the railway also served the post-cart route to Humewood further down the coast. While the passengers disembark for a picnic lunch at a line-side hotel, there's work ahead for the crew.
By the way, here we go. Wait! There we go! First time!
Fortunately, the society is run entirely by volunteers who are not afraid to put their shoulders to the wheel. Lest the crew should flag in their devotion to duty, some of the younger passengers urge them on with spontaneous song.